yourself. Tola, over to you.
Hello and welcome to the Transitioning into Project Management talk. But as you've seen on the screen, it says project management, but actually, is it project management or is it managing projects and programs? So what I'll do is it's actually looking at project management, program management, portfolio management, project support, and project control. And then it's a case of this sort of leads me. So what aspect of program and management are you interested in? But then again, you ask yourself this question: is it actually project and program management I want to go into? This leads me on to my first slide, which essentially is actually validating your choice. Now, there are about 100 different types of skill sets within the ICT, digital transformation, and software engineering realm. And you can actually assess this through something called SFIA, which is the Global Skills and Competency Framework for the digital age. What it enables you to do is actually go through these 100 odd different skill types and job types and identify where the skills you have, because all of you are professional people and you are trying to transition into project management, but you've got a skill set which is potentially transferable. However, you've chosen project management, but actually, is project management the right place for you to be? If it isn't, this opportunity, SFIA, enables you to do a gap analysis of your skills to assess against these 100 different skills if that's the right place. It also gives you other options available to you. It also takes you through how you might do a skill profile assessment. And also, there are organizations out there which actually can do the skills assessment for you at a charge. What I'll do, I'm going to pop out into the internet, so hopefully it doesn't fall over, and to show you some, uh, what's it called? To show you what these skill sets look like. So I'm just going to reshare my page and reshare the page I've popped out to, which is there.
Uh, Tola, oh yes,
Yes.
that's showing now. Yes.
Okay, it's showing now. So, um, okay, this is the, okay, I think I've gone onto the wrong page. I'll just do it again. And share page and go to the skills assessment. Yes, that's the right page. So share page now. Here we are. So as you see, you can sort of see there's a whole range of skill sets there which you might want to pop into. So you've got the likes of enterprise IT governance, you've got analytics, you've got consultancy, you've got demand management, you've got a whole range of them. And then what I'll just show you is the project management elements. You've got portfolio management, program management, project management, and portfolio support. So I'm going to pop back into the other slide now to sort of go on with the presentation. So we've gone in there, we've actually had a look, and now we suddenly decide, okay, yes, managing programs and projects is actually where my skill set lies. So what I'll just now do is take you contextually through all those elements which actually make up program and project management. And actually, based on your different aspects of managing and supporting project management, based on levels of responsibility, and this will cover areas of autonomy, influence, complexity, knowledge, business skills, will enable you to go through these different areas of managing programs and projects. And if we start with the most obvious, which is project management, this is the application of processes and methods and skills to enable you to deliver a project and services to fulfill the project's objectives and deliver them to time, cost, and quality. So what you're doing here is you're delivering products and services. And then you've got program management, which essentially is the management of unique and transient strategic endeavor to deliver a complex project portfolio, which also includes business as usual activities to achieve beneficial change. So essentially, what you're trying to do is realize benefits, achieve outcomes to meet the organization or line of businesses, what's the word, vision. And then you've got portfolio management, which essentially is the selection and prioritization and control of programs and projects. These can be done at organizational level or line of business level. And what you're trying to do here is to achieve strategic benefits or operational efficiency. And because you've got to do this within your organization's budget, it's optimizing the return on investment within those finite budgetary constraints. Then you've got product delivery and program and project support or control. So what I'll do is I'll take you through product and service delivery first. So this is the provision of an agile or waterfall mechanism for the delivery of products and services and processes. It's used something called information system development methods. And these are a collection of procedures, techniques, and documentation. And you must have heard of these. And this is where some of the confusion lies. You've heard of Scrum, you've heard of SAFe, XP, Lean. Now, these are product and service delivery mechanisms. They're not project management mechanisms. So then I'll take you to the next, which is project and program management support. And here, what you're trying to do is support the project and program management in an optimal fashion by defining and maintaining standards. This will allow you to achieve economies of scale as well as optimization and efficiency. So you do this through the centralization of activities and the repetition of those key activities. And these include things like the administrative services, advice on guidance and tools, configuration management, planning, as well as centralizing risk management. But one of the core things here is also project assurance, and this makes this very, very important because you're ensuring standards and potentially a center of excellence occurs. Then you've got project control, which essentially supports large and complex projects by providing proactive solutions centrally. And sorry, not centrally, but providing proactive solutions. And this is done through the analysis and reporting, performance management, baseline management, schedule control, cost control, quality control, and other areas of control. So essentially what we've established here, there are different levels of responsibility in the management of projects and programs and portfolios, as well as areas of support and control. So the next slide I'm going to show you now is now we've established that plethora and the how they are connected, but then there's a method of approach. How do you actually get your certifications? How do you get your knowledge base through all these areas? And there are two approaches, which are through a body of knowledge or through a methodology. Now, these approaches are complementary. It's not one against another. So just taking you through the body of knowledge, this is a framework which provides a generic and holistic broad view of all the established and essential areas of knowledge which might be required by you who's involved in program and project management. Essentially, it establishes firm foundations for the management of projects and programs, and it enables the initial engagement into that area with minimal experience. So essentially, it's providing you with a very, very, very broad base of managing programs and projects. And then you've got the methodology approach, which is specific and it's structured and it's process-based, best practice standard for the management of projects, programs, and portfolios. And this enables you to consolidate your management knowledge as well as your competency, while providing a consistent and common language in program, project, and portfolio management. So, spoke about the two approaches, and now we're going to talk about the certification you can achieve through each of those approaches. So, the body of knowledge first. There are two organizations, one in the US and one in the UK. The UK one's called the Association for Project Management, the APM. And what that does, it provides you with core qualifications which track your career development based on your level of understanding. And it starts off with the fundamentals, PFQ, the management, PMQ, and the professional qualifications, PPQ. It also enables you to also go at it a different route through experiences and the attainment of defined levels of knowledge. So it's through technical knowledge, professional practice, and ethical behavior. And there is a whole other raft of qualifications you get with the culmination of you becoming a chartered project professional, CHPP. And what I've done is I've put the link in there so you can actually chart that career path through the APM. There's a similar organization called the PMI, which is US based, and the qualifications they provide includes the project management professional, that's the PMP you get, the program management professional, the PGMP, the portfolio management professional, the PFMP, the certified associate project management qualification. They also do the Agile certified practitioner. They also do single ability certifications as well, like the risk management, as well as the scheduling professional. And the career path link is there too. Then there's the other approach. We spoke about the body of knowledge. Now we're talking about the methodology. So the two key organizations who do the best practice certifications in the UK are Axelos and the Agile Business Consortium. So starting with the Axelos, they do a project management, which you're all quite familiar with, which is projects in controlled environments, Prince 2. They also do an Agile addendum to that, which brings Prince 2 into the Agile conceptual range. Then you've got your project office, project support certification, P30. You've got your program management certification, Managing Successful Programs, NSP. You've got your portfolio management one, MOP, as well as also you've got two other single value ones called the Management of Value and the Management of Risk. There are also other certifications which Axelos give, and I've put a link in there to those other certifications, as well as Axelos's career path. Then you've got the Agile Business Consortium. The Agile Business Consortium essentially has produced a certification for project management within an Agile environment, and it's actually taken it's actually started the project management methodology from scratch, and it's provided you with certification called Agile PM, as well as a program management certification called Agile PGM. I spoke earlier about the likes of Scrum and all that, and these are, again, I'll emphasize, are product delivery mechanisms. So you've both got the Agile approach as well as the waterfall approach. Just going through the key Agile product delivery mechanism you hear about is Scrum, and you've got three key organizations who provide certification for that, and that's the Scrum Alliance, the Scrum.org, and the Agile Business Consortium. All three of those provide you with They provide you with Scrum certifications. Then you've got the Scaled Agile Framework, SAFe, which essentially provides you with the SAFe certification. Now, also, if you want to work within public services, you would need an understanding of something called the Government Digital Service, and they also provide you with the tools through their service manual how to manage agile delivery. They've actually also got an academy of courses, and I'll put the links in there. You've also got other delivery mechanisms like Kanban, DSDM, rapid application development, extreme programming, and lean, and you can get certifications as well. Also, I thought I might mention also the waterfall methods of product delivery, which include your software development lifecycle, the likes of V method, SSADM, Six Sigma, Rational Unified Processing, RUP, and the likes. So I'll just take you on to my last slide, which essentially tries to pull all these things now into some sort of informed understanding on one sheet. As I said before, there are many ways of actually managing projects and programs, and that's what you see down the vertical. And across the horizontal, you see the levels of responsibility based on autonomy, expertise, capability, and other skill capabilities. And so if you were going into the project management realm, where you would potentially start off is as a project coordinator. If you can sort of see, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Alim, can you see my cursor?
We can, yes, we
Yeah,
can.
yeah, it's
So
good.
if you see my cursor, you probably start, if you're, so your entry level potentially maybe as a project coordinator within the project management realm. And that, as you can see, that goes up to maybe about 2.5. So you can become an expert project coordinator, and then you'll step in then into the project management realm, because you've now got a lot of understanding, knowledge, expert skill set, and your level of responsibility increases as well. And then the next stage of your career as a project manager would be as a senior project manager. Then I'll go into the next one, which is the program management aspect of things. You can become a program coordinator like you can above, the project coordinator. However, as you can sort of see, there's a gap between there and the next stage. The idea then is to become a project manager. And then you can either carry on the project management careers path, or you can then become a program manager. As you can sort of see, the level of responsibility required by a program manager is about 4 up here. So invariably, they expect you to be quite experienced in terms of your career progression. And then the next stage there is program director. So going to the next one, which is portfolio management, as you can see, there's a massive gap here. So therefore, they really, really, really do expect you to be well informed before you become a portfolio manager. And that starts at, level 4. And the idea really, you would go through that trajectory of being a project coordinator, becoming a program manager, and then, a project manager, and then potentially choosing to either become a senior project manager, a program manager, or a portfolio manager based on your career progression. And then you can become a portfolio director. Also, you've also got project support, where you have your project controls, your P3MO, your PSO, and then you become a PMO coordinator. And then you can become a PMO analyst, where you do a lot of the controls, as well as then becoming a PMO manager, where you're responsible for the centralization of the project management office, and you're also incorporating things like program and project assurance in the standardization and expertise. And you've also got your single type technical specialist, where you are where you become a project planner, business analyst, risk analyst, project estimator, as well as maybe business case specialist as well. So that's my last slide, and thank you very much. Questions and answers.
Great. Thank you. Victor, I think that was you we were hearing.
I had an intervention from my little one.
No,
as you do in the home office.
Okay, exactly. But no, that's fine. So just, I'm just saying it lightheartedly. So we do have a few questions that have come to me privately. But before I go into those, let's see if anyone on the call wants to make a comment or ask a question verbally based on what they've seen in the slides. And remember to unmute yourself if you have a question you'd like to ask or a point of clarification.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Tola. So I currently work as a PMO analyst and I kind of feel like I'm stuck in a rut. I'm ready to move on to the next thing. But I was considering business analyst, but I just don't know how easy that transition would be. If I could just get pointers, please. Or even project management. But it seems like I've applied to a couple of junior project management roles to kind of ease myself in, but it seems they're hesitant to allow me make that change.
So, can I just ask, just for clarification, Desola, so you are in a role now, you are doing more of a junior role. I think you may have mentioned which one it was, but you are looking to get into, say, project management. And were you looking to how to move from, for example, if it was a PM analyst to a project manager? Is that a summary of your question?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, Victor, do you want to take that one first? How a person could make that transition, be recognized, be promoted, get a new job?
Right. Okay. Thanks for that question. And it's not an unusual situation to be in, actually. But being in the PMO analyst role has quite a few advantages for you, because it means you're probably familiar with supporting projects through tools and maintaining standards. So that is definitely a plus. But what the challenge we have is different organizations have different strata and different progression routes. And so you may have to think about moving after having added a few qualifications, perhaps a Prince 2 foundation and practitioner possibly to your armory, and then you need a CV also that actually correctly, without embellishing unnecessarily, correctly highlights your project experience. The way we put our CVs together really does matter as well. Yeah. But a few project management qualifications in the best practice area wouldn't hurt.
Actually, hello. I'm going to give you a slightly different path to the one Victor said, because you say you're already a project support analyst. There's also the P3MO, the PMO career progression, where it still is a very, very senior role, and you are providing that support and you're providing that administration, as well as, more importantly, you can potentially start providing the program and project assurance. And the PMO can become the center of excellence for project and program management. So don't just look at the project management progression path, look at the PMO, the P3O progression path as well.
Yeah, good point. But can I just ask someone, so, we've got 50 people on the call, someone who actually has transitioned from, let's say if a person, you were a project support analyst as an example, and you did want to be a project manager or a program manager even. Is there anyone on the call that's made that transition, and how did you do it? Would you like to share your experience?
Alim, this is Ahmad.
Hi, Ahmad.
I have the different side of this, the flip side of this, where I had a junior person, like almost in the same capacity, like the person who asked the question. Mm-hmm. And we agreed with the head of PMO to have her under my supervision as a mentor for a year to work as a project manager with well-defined KPIs that every project she will lead and manage part of the project aspect. You just show her the path and let her lead the meetings, lead the submission to the PMO reports, presenting and blah, blah, blah. project after the other at the end of the year. I believe she was qualified to start handling small projects in the neighborhood of $200,000 in her own. And I believe that was a very good transition with somebody who want to jump into the project management realm.
Perfect. Thank you, Ahmad. So look, let me just summarize, if I may. Sorry, just because there's been a few answers that have been given.
Yeah.
So if I could just summarize what I think I've heard, and then we'll just carry on with this discussion, because I think it's such a key point and key point for actually many of the people on this call. So it was mentioned, like, for example, from Tola, that actually you may want to stay in the PMO or PMO space because there are some senior roles in there. A jump doesn't have to be necessary to a project manager, even though a lot of people assume that, right, and go off that. So I think that was a great point. But, you know, if a person still wants to do that, still wants to be moving from a junior role, a PM support role, to a project manager, then Victor touched on something really, really good, which was about the CV. And because I think on the CV resume side, a lot of people, when they're updating their CV, still put those responsibilities they have, which is for a support analyst type role. Whereas, you know, he said not embellish it, but I think you have to do a bit, right? You have to just show that you had project management responsibility as well. Otherwise, no one will necessarily give you that opportunity if you do want to move into a new organization. And then Ahmad touched on, and if you're staying within your current organization, then getting secondment, getting recognized by other areas, getting shadow support, etc., is what's necessary, right? Because if someone doesn't give you the opportunity, how can you actually gain the skills that you need to gain? So I think 3 excellent points, all relevant. That's why I just wanted to summarize them up before we lost them. There may have been, you know, 1 or 2 other things that were said, but really good points there. Tola, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, no, all is, are you sharing the screen? Because what I've done is put that career path up there again.
So we can't, so you can share your screen, Tola, so we can't see anything yet.
You can't see anything yet? All right,
no. So, yeah. And some other questions are coming in, which I'll ask. But while Tola's sharing her screen, does anyone else have any experiences personally, or someone that they know that has transitioned from a more junior role to a more senior role, and can they share those?
Alim, hi,
Yes.
This is Dev.
Hi, Dev.
Just to say that I actually didn't set out to be a project program manager. I started off as an engineer, then I became a programmer, and through over a period of years, I got into project management and started delivering it. I think that's a key element that a lot of people need to understand. Yes, it's great that you want to be a project manager, and how do you do that? And apologies if there's noise in the background, but there's something sprinting and I can't stop it. So, and how do you do that? A lot of it is by getting a mentor, a sponsor who recognizes that you have some skills in delivering things. And then you actually started delivering small pieces of work and showing that. My formal certification came long after I'd started delivering projects. And it was only because it was suggested that if I wanted to progress to deliver bigger projects that I needed to get some certification. That's when I got it. So yeah, absolutely. Certification is important, and understanding what project management is about is important. But equally important is actually delivering pieces of work, showing that you can do the work, and contributing at other project meetings and other areas where you can show that you have some of the skills. And so that I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, Dev. And yeah, I mean, you touched on a number of points as well. And just like Victor earlier, I forgot to mention it, of course, certification, right? I think we all recognize that to be seen, you know, whether it's fair or not, to be seen by some others, then we have to also achieve those certifications, whether we do it through the companies we work for or individually we take the initiative and certify. I think that's, you know, that goes hand in hand with this, don't we? Doesn't it? And Tola, was there something you wanted to particularly pick up on this screen, or just show it for the reference that you made?
Showing it for reference.
Yeah, great.
About entry points, yeah.
Okay.
And also, like I said before, who's to say you're the project manager if you've got transferable skills? SFIA enables you to look wider.
Yeah. Okay. So We can come. I think a large part of this discussion will be on this point that Desola asked, actually. So let me just move us on to some other questions, but I'm not too concerned by coming back to it afterwards as well. Okay, and some questions are coming to me privately in the chat. But let me ask another one that's come in. So, is it an easier career transition for a business analyst to move into a project coordinator than to a PM? And are there transferable skills? So the person's a business analyst. Is it easier to go into being a project coordinator than a PM? And what are the transferable skills from a business analyst? So obviously, let's assume this person's a business analyst but wants to go into project management. Who would like to pick up that one?
I'd sort of say it's project management is a sort of a mindset, different type of mindset from a business analyst who is facilitating and trying to tease out information as well as actually translate business requirements into system or requirements. It's sort of a different skill set. I'm going to share my screen again and try and show you what potentially the key skills are for project management. And I've just grabbed this off the internet so you can go and have a search yourself. But as you can sort of, is my screen showing?
It is, yes.
Yes, so you've got, can you see the PM skills there?
You've got
yes. Leadership, communication, the ability to schedule, risk management, cost management, negotiating, critical thinking, task management, quality management, sense of humor. So my key things really are leadership and critical thinking. And that communication, which is your stakeholder management, is actually you being, and when I say project management, you're not an autocrat, you're a collaborator, you're negotiating to get things done, you perform a role, and your role is managing others, managing their work, but also you do have some sort of controlling element there to ensure that your cost, quality, time, and scope is actually managed, or within an agile environment where you have overarching bit of a hands-off type of management and control there as well. So it's a different skill set, and you've got to understand whether you're up to that, whether that's you, because of what it requires. And it's also a case of project management. If somebody says, oh, I'm having problems with this project, it's really full of hassles, then maybe that's not the right thing for you, because project management is actually all about managing all those problems, all those hassles, all those issues, all that essentially understanding risk, planning. It is. If you're one who doesn't like stress, honey bunch, I'd say don't go near it. But, that becomes your armor. That becomes what you do. So you've got to really have an understanding of what it's all about. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thanks, Tola. And there are some other questions coming in, so I'll try and stay on top of them. But two questions that have come in are around transitioning from ITSM into project management. And this question, the latest one you'll see on screen, the person saying they are trained on P3O, Agile, etc. How do they transition, and this is, as I said, from two people, how do they transition from service management into project management?
You don't.
Oh no!
I actually believe they got a pretty good chance. I always say this, and I'm biased because, of course, I have an IT background, right? The reason IT folk pretty much latch onto the project management ladder is they are pulled into projects left, right, and center anyway, right? So they are used to performing and using their skills to deliver within the project context. Of course, as well as business as usual, and therefore, there are definitely advantages there because you are used to deadlines. There's no doubt about you being able to handle critical thinking because you're working business analyst, or you might even have that skill in your skill set. And so I think it's pretty good, but it's not automatic. We do not have an automatic route necessarily because we have, all the best practice in ITIL and the rest of it. We need to then be rounded and realize that slide that Tola showed now in terms of the skills needed. We need to then demonstrate that we can actually provide leadership, right? We can understand budgeting and control of sizable amounts of money. You actually understand how to manage a project in the context of making sure you keep the vision in front of everyone, line them up behind that vision. It's a different ball game, and that step up sometimes can be underestimated, but a lot of people have it. I think you're in a strong place, personally, in my view.
But I would ask, why do you want to move away from service transition? Because there's a career trajectory. Sorry, from service provision, there's a career trajectory there as well. So, you know, you have to ask yourself.
Yeah. So for me as well, many of you will know I do both service management and project management. So I think I'm well positioned to also cover the service management to the PM aspect. I agree with Tola that having a service management career could actually be a great career in terms of moving up in service management. So maybe no need to transition into project management. However, if for whatever reason, and two people have asked this question, they do want to transition to project management, I want to give an alternative view to one that's already been suggested. And that's that within service management, there are some roles that are actually closer aligned to project management than one might realize, such as the service introduction, the release and deployment, the validation and testing. Some of those other design and transition roles that exist in service management are actually quite close to project management and work with project managers quite closely. They have to, right, to transition a new service. So if you're in the ITSM space, but you're focused currently on operational service management, I would perhaps look at whether within that service management department, wherever you are, just getting more involved in service introduction and transition and design, and then maybe making a step up through that channel. Okay, just as a thought. Something else, just changing the topic slightly, something else that was mentioned earlier, I think by Victor, which I think is key as well, is having a mentor. And mentor could, of course, be within the organization, and Ahmad touched on it, in terms of being recognized, someone supporting you, etc. But through the Slack channel and through this initiative we have, and why you are all on this session, we are obviously providing free mentorship through the people that you see on your screen anyway. So reach out to one of those mentors to help support your transition from whatever you're doing and whatever your reasons are into project management. Victor, Tola, and others, great people, devs on the call as well. They can definitely help you. Okay, let me just move us on because there's other questions and more are coming in chat, but let me just ask from the ones I had already gathered previously. Tola, on the slide that you had shown, I think it was previously, there was something that said critical thinking, and a question was asked, what does critical thinking mean?
It means you'll be able to sort of do a bit of root cause analysis. You'll be able to assess when you are looking at problems. You do an assessment. Don't presume what don't do early solutionizing. Actually think wider base. Actually, what's the root cause of this? Why do we need this? Who is it going to impact? Who are we escalating? What are the associated risks? Is there a plan B? Is there a plan C? It's actually doing all that kind of analysis, which you've got to do when you're looking at every aspect of the job you do within project management. You're constantly, analyzing everything you're doing, because every task you take, it's going to have an impact on A, B, C. Typical example is when you do your risk analysis. A lot of times people just concentrate the risk analysis to the project they're looking at, but actually your risk, there are about 4 perspectives to your looking at the impact of your impact of a problem or an impact of a risk, which is at the business as usual level as well, at the organizational level as well, also at the program level if it's part of a larger program, as well as at the project level. So it's actually, that's what critical thinking is. It's, sorry.
Yeah, you've answered it. Thank you, Tola. I hope the person that asked is satisfied with that. If not, please just raise that in the chat again with me. But thank you, Tola. Now, I've got an interesting question for you, and one that should make you smile. And that's the question, which is, how do I move from project management into service management? So, we've got people wanting to go in different directions. Maybe they could swap jobs. But yeah, so if you're in project management and you want to, in all seriousness, go into another field, what skills does a project manager have, do you think, that are transferable to service management? Another one that came in was around being a product manager. So the person wants to move from project management to being a product manager, or let's say, from project management into being a service management person. What skills do they have that's transferable, and how could they go about it? Who wants to pick this up?
I'll do a bit of in service management. You've also got change management, somebody who manages all the small changes within the service environment. You've also, and problem management, who can analyze problems and actually put together projects which you might actually use. So you can go that way. I think Alem may embellish that a bit, but from a product management point of view, that's a totally different construct. That used to be what we used to call the business change management manager in the old school, where what you're doing there is you've got a foot in the business, but you're also translating the business needs and requirements into the projects. And what you've got to have there, you've got to focus in understanding what the business requirements are. So you become a subject matter expert, or you become a coordinator of subject matter experts. Also, you've got to have delegated responsibility to actually agree and know what products need to be developed. You have autonomy on that. Also, you've got to have an understanding about the priority, as well as actually whether the business itself can absorb the type of changes you're making within the organization. Who's going to benefit from them? Also, what the benefits are, what the benefit profile looks like. So as a product manager, that's a totally different thing. You're not managing a product product owner. What you're doing is you're ensuring that the business requirements are articulated into the project environment, as well as actually making sure you're an expert in that particular area.
Thank you. Look, a few more questions in the chat, but again, like we did maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, I just want to open it up verbally again, just to anyone that feels that their question hasn't been answered, or they have a subsequent question, or something that they just want clarity on. If you can unmute yourself, please, and ask your question. Kadim, did you want to ask something?
Yeah, Adam, are you able to hear me?
We are, yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I just want to draw your attention to yesterday's session when we were, since the advent of Agile 4, we discussed about general management practices, service management practices. And we discussed about project management and business analysis. Do we need to fall back in order to practice those project management and business analysis? We need to fall back to PM book methodology, or Agile will give us its own books or methodologies? And my follow-up question would be, now I think it's becoming easier to transition from service management to project management, because with the advent of Agile 4, the lines are getting blurred, because all these frameworks are overlapping.
I agreed.
Or the other.
Yeah, I agree. So if I can ask that, because it touches on the presentation that I gave yesterday on ITIL 4 and some of the new practices that exist in the new ITIL now. One is actually project management, right? So relevant to what people have asked and what was just asked there. But I think the fundamental part of the question was about kind of the blurred methodologies, practices overlapping with each other, and how we can transition from one to another, etc. And what I would say around ITIL 4 is, if you were just doing ITIL 4, so say you didn't have any of these other certifications, you don't have Prince 2, you don't have PMP, you don't have Agile, you just have ITIL 4, and that won't be good enough, that won't be relevant enough for you to then be a project manager, because ITIL only covers those practices, processes at a brief level, enough to interface with project managers, enough to have a handshake with project management with Prince 2, but not sufficiently enough for you to become a project manager. However, going back to my earlier point, if you were qualified, experienced in ITIL, and if that experience was in the non-operational areas, such as Tola mentioned, change change enablement, I mentioned earlier, service introduction, etc., then the transition from service management to project management, I think, is definitely going to be easier. But perhaps, and this was asked as well, what's the difference between product managers and service management? I think with Agile becoming so big now, the traditional project manager, perhaps in the future, won't really exist. So it will still exist, don't get me wrong, so that's maybe the wrong thing to say, but I just think more and more people are using Agile, they're thinking of things differently, they're doing things differently, and Agile recommends having a Scrum Master, for example, or a product owner, and different roles. So if your focus and thinking is, I want to move away from service management, or I want to become more senior with project management, then perhaps Agile, with it trending and gaining so much traction, is potentially the way to go for you. And then Tola's already covered some of the qualifications you can do, and getting into that area, I think potentially could be more straightforward for a lot.
I'll just interject on that Agile aspect of things. The equivalent project manager in Agile is called an Agile delivery manager, who has overarching responsibility not just for the Scrum product delivery element, where has a Scrum Master working for him, but it has overarching responsibility. So they're called Agile delivery managers. A Scrum Master, like I said before, is actually delivering the products within that. But you still got to budget it, you've still got to define it, you've still got to go and get the team organized, you've still got to get it out into the operational realm. So you're working in conjunction with the product owner, in conjunction with the Scrum Master as an Agile delivery manager.
Okay. Alim, just something you were stating, you were wondering whether you were being too, maybe it was a little bit strong, but it's a stark reality. Professionals in the project management field are beginning to ask that question. Yes, would they, in the next 10, 15 years, 20 years, would the traditional project management role have to fade away? Because as you said, as you incorporate Agile methods in place, you then you start realizing that a project manager doesn't go into the Agile team to manage the team, right? They have to be more of a coach, facilitator. You got to change your mindset, because the behaviors of transparency, collaboration mean that you must approach the whole thing differently. So it is actually a real issue that is making the rounds in professional.
And very interesting point, right? In that in the past as well, and think of 10, 20, 50 years in the past, a lot of managers had to see their people at the desk, working at their desk, watching over their screens, are they doing their work, etc. And that developed the whole project management philosophy, maybe, in someone controlling the project. Whereas now, whether COVID helps accelerate this, even though, COVID, I wish it on no one, but now people are being trusted to work remotely, trusted to work on their own. And the Agile concept, I think, will take an even more accelerated path in the future. But anyway, we said enough on that. Let's just see if there are other points, questions that people have that we haven't covered. We have about 8 minutes left. So Debbie, I think you're coming in.
Yeah, so I was just really pleased to see project management appear in ITIL 4, because one of the big issues I had, so I was a service design and transition manager for a bit, then I was service acceptance, they've changed the name, called it some activation. So I've always worked very closely with project managers, and the bigger issues I had is that the project managers generally, and I'm talking in the past, things are changing, didn't understand service. So to them, I was just an annoyance at first, until they realised that I was bringing, valid questions and valid points in. So it's often been seen that service acceptance is something that you do just before you go live. And actually, it's something that should be embedded right at the beginning of the project. And a few years ago, I had to literally fight to just be able to attend a meeting to tell people what I did. But then once I did that, then I got all the engagement that I needed. And it was one of the best projects that I worked on because everybody engaged as they needed to. So it's good to see it coming together. And I've had to do a lot of coaching to project managers to say, this is what service is about. This is why I'm here. This is what your acceptance criteria means. So it was a good journey, but yeah, I'm very pleased to see it coming together.
It is. It needs to be part of your governance up front, where you do your service introduction up front as part of the design process, as well as actually your service transition thereafter, when you're transitioning the project from the project realm into the service realm.
Yeah, exactly. But quite often what you find is they don't even think about including you till it's for you, till it's too late. And then you're bringing up stuff that they don't want to talk about because they think they've already sorted it. Yeah.
So, okay, a couple more questions that I will ask then. So one person has said, in addition to the usual career job hunting routes, are there any dedicated resources for getting into service management or project management? So the job opportunities, are you aware of any companies that, so if someone wants to get into service management, a company, a website which deals with just service management or just project management? So this is someone, looking for a job. Are you aware of any? I'm aware of some. I can give some examples, but let me open it up first. Anyone want to respond to that?
Job sites, I think, like everybody out there looking for a job, looking for an opportunity, it's just your normal career job sites. However, there are courses and reading you can do which might assist your progression, like going to the APM, PMI, and Axelis for blogs and videos. And you've also got LinkedIn Learning, which will give you a bit of an insight and some taster courses into all these. But from a career point of view, Honey Bunt, you're going to have to apply like all the rest of us looking for jobs, really. The usual sites, JobServe, job sites, Indeed, and all that malarkey, I think.
Okay, so if I can then just give my view as well, which will hopefully help. So no job sites as such, all the job sites are more general, just like Tola was saying. But I know that there are a number of boutique service management companies. Perhaps the whole company has only 50 employees as an example, but all they do is service management. I don't want to plug any of them. I don't want to promote any of them. But if you search for service management consultancy, for example, there'll be a few small companies that will come up that just deal with service management. Same for project management. So there are a few boutique recruitment agencies that only deal with change management and transformation. So again, if you Googled project management recruitment agency or something like that, you'll see that
professional services.
Yeah, you'll see a few will come up. Okay, but in terms of job sites, no, they're more general. And if they were, don't believe them. If they were websites are pretending that they only recruit service managers, they probably don't have too many roles. But the boutique professional service providers, as Tola said, are the way to go on that.
But I would actually advise you guys to register with the APM, the PMI, as well as Axelis, so you can get access to all the resources they have. And there might be options through them where you might be able to get access to jobs, but go register on their site and sort of have a look at their resources.
Thanks. Okay, and another question here is, so if a person doesn't have project management certifications, these are the Axelos, APMG type ones, but they are an MSc, so they have a master's in project management, can they be called a project manager?
I think so. I've got a master's in geographic information systems, but you see, the thing about these certifications is that they standardize things so that internationally, whatever training you've had, it standardizes it so that there's a common language, there's that common level of expertise which is understood. So yes, even though you have got a master's in project management, I would implore you to get certification, because that standardizes you so that immediately somebody sees you, they actually have a shorthand, they know where you are. Whereas just your MSc, it would be interrogating your potential syllabus, and nobody's going to do that.
I also think I want to believe this. The questioner is indicating that they are working. If you're doing the job, you're exhibiting the skills in there to, and you have successful projects in your armory, in your portfolio. Of course, you are a project manager. But where Tola's advice comes in really, really handy is what happens when you leave that organization where you have a track record. How do you then, show that your skills are current, that you are indeed in tune with the current best practice? That's where they come in. But definitely, if you've got the skills, you're doing the job, you have a successful project delivery in your portfolio, you are indeed a project manager. And Alim, if I could just add this, because time. We just want you to know, for those who put in certain questions beforehand, whilst you are registering, we are giving answers to all those questions as well. So just in case any of those questions were not specifically addressed during the question and answer session, Tola and I will be providing answers to those, and Ali will make them available.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, these are when you filled in the form to register, as Victor said, the outcomes you wanted to seek, they'll all be answered, as well as any questions that we haven't answered yet. I've captured them all. But Antonio, as the last question, I want to see if we can cover Antonio's question, but it's a big one. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it justice. And Antonio, you may have to reach out to Victor or Tola if you haven't already, just to get a bit more support from them. But you'll see Antonio's question is, he's in a technical role, working on developing products, but not in an official way. He's not doing project coordination in an official way, but he is doing it. Should he apply for project coordinator roles, or could he jump straight into project management? The fact that, he's doing it, but he doesn't have the title. What's your view there in terms of what he can do?
Do you want me to take that, or you go for that?
John, just quickly, if you say if you say you're an SME already, you're a product owner or product manager, that's an avenue for you. Project coordinator, as a project coordinator, if you go into the Atlas, you're going to have to do Prince 2 Foundation anyway, Prince 2 practitioner. If you want to go for the project management, you've got the skill set, go for it. I'll let Victor say some more.
Oh, definitely. And the big answer actually is it depends. It depends on the organization you're applying to. So some recognize the links and transferable skills in the roles you've already stated that you have. Some are more readily willing to take them on, but definitely, again, I'm afraid the way your CV reads does matter in this kind of situation. It's a multi-pronged approach, not just the certification, but also your CV and how you do reflect your experience.
And another thing I'll just add, the SFIA I went to previously, go and look at the various skill sets required in an SFIA and tailor your CV to mention those skill sets. That will assist you as well in terms of project or program management.
Thank you. And if I may just add one other thing, which I think will be relevant to others as well to hear, that it doesn't have to be either or. You can actually apply for both, right? Because some roles which are classed as project coordinator actually have far more seniority and they're more like a project manager role. Yeah. And some roles that are advertised as project manager, you find are actually junior. So, yeah. But anyway, thank you so much, Tola. Thank you so much, Victor, and for everyone else for sharing their experiences. I hope you found the session beneficial. As has been mentioned, all of your questions that you submitted in your outcome as your part of your outcomes, all asked here, will be answered and shared back with you all, as well as the recording and the presentation. So thank you.